is relevant, but anything beyond that is dangerous. He's a liar. The demon is a liar. He will like to confuse us. But he will also mix lies with the truth to attack us.
All right, and welcome to the first interview of RetroSynth Records. And today we are interviewing Rayne Reznor with our Diskonekt sublabel. I am Dan Eachus, one member of the band Neutron Dreams. I'm also the president of RetroSynth Records. And today we are here to have a nice chat with Rayne Reznor and talk about himself and the brand new album, The Black Apple. How you doing today, Rayne?
I'm doing great, Dan. Great to be here.
And we're also joined by our guest star for today, Mr. Samtar, who also sings with Rayne on the Black Apple in the song called Afterglow.
It's true. I do make sounds with my throat voice.
That's good to hear. I'm glad. Very happy for you. Proud of you.
So Rayne, love the setup there, man. It's very cathedral-ish. You know, it looks like we're getting ready to worship some undead robot. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your setup right there?
Well, since I'm the greatest thing to happen to anybody, you're really here to worship me, and that's why I have the candles. No, not really. Well, The Black Apple is a horror-themed album, and I love the Halloween season. It's spooky. It's got a fall atmosphere with it, and I just thought it would fit for our video here today. I definitely like the cyberpunk stuff, but I really wanted to do something different that I haven't really done, and that's just straight horror fantasy sort of story in the album. So that's what I've got here with the setup.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I mean, it just looks
Thank you.
very, very, very clean yet very creepy at the same time. I love it. It's a complete opposite of what I have going on here. My little cyberpunk spaceship studio when we're ready to blast off into outer space.
Yeah, your setup is sick. I don't have nearly
battle
enough
station.
lights.
And I gotta compete against the Neutron Nightmare, you know. So I gotta do what I gotta do.
Of course. I don't have nearly enough neon yet, but I'll work on that.
It takes time. It takes time. But
Heck yeah.
let's talk about a couple things here. So let's do a brief introduction. Who are you? So that means give me some background about yourself, your life, past life, where are you from? You know, your demographics, so on and so forth. Go ahead.
I write music in the forests of Maine. I'm inspired by the stories of the cyber trees. I grew up listening to groups like Daft Punk, Kraftwerk. I really enjoy EBM music. I really enjoy synthwave. I'm very inspired by that. Old school, like 90s techno. Very inspired by 80s music as a whole. electronic music, new wave, 80s post-punk, goth rock, 80s metal. So I've dipped my toes in all sorts of genres as far as my tastes go, and it goes into like the Chex Mix of my brain, and in there I just kind of pick what I want to do, and that's what inspires me. I group it into my bowl of thoughts, and then I pick what I need out, and I get inspired by what I want to do at the time. So if I want to do something like the Black Apple, I'll listen to The Cure, something like Motionless in White, Dance with the Dead, that sort of stuff. So it really all comes together that way. I really love a lot of genres, and I think it's important for artists to not just be invested in one genre. I mean, if you love one genre, like particularly, that's awesome, but I really strive to be diverse with it. Recently, working with the band Volcari 64, I've been inspired by dream pop and shoegaze, and even some like indie folk stuff. Adam from V64 has really inspired me that way, and you'll notice in V64 we have some mando, some mandolin, and some acoustic guitar, and that really comes from that side of things that I've learned to become inspired by. And also, not to mention, I can't go without mentioning 80s rap. 80s rap, I really love that type. And 80s like freestyle breakdancing music, I really love that. I grew up listening to that. And groups like Dana Dane, Run DMC, Houdini, Fresh Prince, early Fresh Prince. I love all of that stuff. So I have quite a few influences, and it all comes to fruition in my music.
Yeah, I actually noticed that a lot with Valkyria. It sounds a lot more like there's like an indie influence there, which I like.
Oh yeah,
it's a nice contrast.
Adam and John have opened up a world to me of like dream pop and shoegaze and indie music that I really wasn't aware of. So it's really been a great learning experience, and that's what I was hoping for when we started working together. And that's really what I strive for, is to just never stop like discovering things, because if I don't discover things, I'll get bored, and then what am I going to do with that, you know?
Right. Yeah,
So thank you. I appreciate that you mentioned that. Absolutely.
Yeah, you always got to keep innovating, keep growing, keep yourself going, keep your mind, interested in different things. Otherwise, you just sit around and be bored, and no one wants that.
I can't be bored. I always have to be doing something. I always have to have something new in my head. Or else.
Of course. Yeah, so out of that, what would you say is your favorite, your top number one go-to? I'm not going to create anything. I'm just going to jam out to something. What would be your absolute favorite, either genre or band or singer?
That's really difficult because I like so many, so it's hard to pick one. Right now, let me see. It might be more accurate for me to name the things that I've been listening to recently that are my favorites recently, rather than overall. But probably Kraftwerk. If I were to just jam to something, it would be The Mix, the 1991 remixes. I believe it was 1991 remixes that they did for their songs. Those have rocked my world since I was about 10 years old. And if I had to pick one thing to be like, this is what I listen to for the rest of my life, it would be that album. The Robots, you've got Radioactivity, Computer Love. I just love every single track that's on that album, and it never gets old for me. Whenever I'm just like not in the mood to write and I need something to jam to or something to relax to, I always go to that one. Another album that, or another group that has really inspired me, and this comes from my influences that I discovered in Volcari 64 again, is Anti-Socialites by Always, Alvvays, Always. They're an awesome dream pop band, and I really like their style. And that album, I can put that album on anywhere, anytime, and it's just always inspiring to me, and it's always just something that I can listen to and forget about things when I need to. So I would say those two albums, really. And also, if I I'm gonna list a third one. The B-Sides album by Dance with the Dead. I really absolutely love that album. It's just killer. Every track on that is amazing. And my favorite one being The Man Who Made the Monster. That one is just, I just love it. The synths, the bass, the guitar, all of it. It's just amazing. So those would be my top 3 picks at the moment, but that does change depending on what I'm into for the time.
Yes, of course. You know, our music tastes always change. Yes, being so close to Halloween, I had to show my love for Tony and Justin with Dance with the Dead with my my current wear that I picked up from one of their concerts. You know, B-sides, yes, definitely, always in my musical rotation. You know, I don't exactly make dark wave or dark synth or anything like that myself. We have a few creepy songs, but heavily inspired by the arrangements, but just by everything, and especially if you come from, say, a rock or a metal type of background, coming to this electronic, you know, world that we're in right now. Dance to the Dead is a good crossover band because it bridges the gap between metal and synthwave and dark wave and all that other stuff, and it's just great to listen to. I mean, it's great to relax to. It's great to jam out to, head to the gym to. You know, get you pumped up and get you excited. Yeah, Tony and Justin, they do a phenomenal job.
I know virtually none of these artists. I know Kraftwerk by the name, but everything else you've mentioned, I'm just like, I don't even know that. I mean, like, I know like Kavinsky. That was the only, like, that was what got me into synthwave initially. Kavinsky, but after that, it was like, Rayne, just show me what you're working on.
Yeah. Well, you and I guess we come from different backgrounds, and I think that's why, like, I feel that you and I work together very well. Yeah. It's because you've got the experience that you have in, like, metal and, like, psychedelic rock, would you call it that?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much just loud music, loud rock metal type stuff, I would call it. But, like, psychedelic trickles into there because of my life experiences.
Yeah, well, I mean, you come from your walk of life, I come from mine, and when we come together, we make something like Afterglow, which is, to be honest, probably my favorite track on the album. And it was
I'm
my
definitely biased to it.
Added vocals, and now nothing on the album to me is as, like, that one. I really liked the instrumental, and then when you sent vocals over, I was like, okay, this is like totally leveled up. It's like totally my favorite one.
Yeah.
So
Afterglow is definitely probably the standout single on the album. It's definitely one of my favorites too. Actually, I love the taste also. The taste is a really well done song on that album. Actually, they're all great, and I'm a little biased too, obviously for certain reasons. But Afterglow is great, and actually I think this would be a good segue to let our audience hear Afterglow.
Absolutely. So listen to Afterglow.
Do it.
Or else.
talk you out of this state. We've run out of time. I live inside the cold blue world. On an empty face, I fell asleep at the wheel. I'm fading away. It's fading away, 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 away. It's fading away, 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 away. It's fading. I live inside a cold world. It's fading away. I fell asleep at home. It's fading. Nothing changes in this way. It's fading away. An empty life.
All right, and that was Afterglow, Fading Away, featuring Samtar by Rayne Reznor, featured on the Black Album, the brand new album released October 29th, 2021, just in time for Halloween. So we've been speaking with Rayne and Sam here, and we have been going over some different things that inspire Rayne with his music. So Rayne, just want to get into, is there anything object-wise or anything that inspires you? I see you have a lot of candles there in your studio. Any other kind of objects or nostalgic things that kind of make you get into the mood to produce music or anything like that?
Oh yes, absolutely. And it might sound really strange, but the lights, the LEDs that I have behind my setup here, they actually really help to set the mood. And like depending on what you want to write, if you're going to write something aggressive, put on some red. If you want to write something with like some acid synths, you put some green on. Like that would help me. And another fun thing I like to do that helps me get in the mood, and it is I put my fog machine on and I just listen to some music for 15 to 30 minutes.
Nice.
And it gets me in the mood sometimes. It's a really fun way to just let yourself loosen up a little bit without, it's a fun way to let yourself know that you don't have to be pressured, just relax and that sort of thing. That's what works for me. It's just something fun to do that loosens me up.
Yeah, absolutely. As a musician myself, I do exactly the same thing. Have RGB lighting, stuff like that, depending upon the mood. You put that in there, and I've noticed that it helps with writer's block too. So if you're having, I want to create music, but I just can't get that mood in. Yeah, the RGB lights or the different things that you have about you, that kind of get you in that mood. They help dial in that creativity. So that's good.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
And also looking at different art online, because there are many like really great artists that you can find in synthwave groups and on DeviantArt and stuff. You just look up something like that gives you an idea. That really helps me as well. Just looking at something, having like a visual to be like, okay, I like the vibe of this. I kind of want to interpret that in some way.
Man, that must be nice, because most of my inspiration is just like a shadowy specter possesses me and like makes me do these things, and I'm like, I don't even want to make a song, but then
I must make the music.
Then I'm like in the studio for a few days. Yeah, man, it sucks, but
literal ghostwriting.
Literally, right? So we just listened to Afterglow and Samtar. That those lyrics are all inspiring. I mean, it's got to be one of my favorite tracks on the album. So What led to you two guys teaming up to make this music together?
Well, actually, initially, I don't remember, I think I reached out to you first, Rayne, on like DistroKid. And
Yes.
yeah,
And
there was like they had this old system where you could like listen to other people's songs and like give them feedback, and I always liked synthwave, and like he was like one of the first people who I like reached out to, and like I don't know, we like had some chemistry and we talked a little, and like I sang to like one of his older songs, and like that one was all right, and like he would sometimes send me songs and like I would sing to them, but like this one in particular, uh, he asked for a specific theme, but because I'm like rotten to work with, I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then I just didn't really do that at all. Cause like I'm a very like I don't know, I guess like sort of a bit like I'm a visual artist in that like when I hear things, I see things, and so I was just like seeing a very specific like honestly like a futuristic like landscape, like a cyberpunk type layout thing, and I just was seeing like living in this like dystopian type world, and I just like had to sing about that, and that wasn't at all what he asked for, but like I was like, yeah, it works. So he'll probably like it.
It definitely works, and it's it's funny that you're talking about a dystopian future. We're not too far off from that
We're
dystopian
already
future.
living in it, dude.
And we're already in it. That's so funny. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's weird how some of this dystopian future that people from the '80s were looking about and talking about and singing about and making music about, how we're in the future now. And a couple years ago, we're kind of living in a sort of ordinary world, and now not so much anymore, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Now it's like all these futuristic things, these dystopian Blade Runner-ish type of futures that all these movies were talking about and portraying. Now we're actually living through them. It's kind of creepy. It's nostalgic in a way, but it's like, wow, were they predicting the future back then? You like, how did they know what was going to happen?
Like Star Trek specifically, all the devices they like used on that show that like we just flat out have now.
The tricorder, the communicator device where Kirk would say, "Scotty, beam me up." That particular device is what led Motorola to create the very first cell phone. So
Interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah, so go figure, and the tricorder device where they use a device to scan their environment and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That led to the smartphone. So that gave kind of like
Oh.
Steve Jobs the idea to start creating the very first iPhone, the first real first smartphone with a touch screen.
Yeah, now they
And
have like the Google Glasses thing or something like that. Basically the exact same thing that like goes over the eye or something.
yeah, like the heads-up display, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. And now I just read, speaking of Star Trek, I just read yesterday an article that scientists have discovered a way to implant a chip into a woman's head who is blind, and they
Okay.
put on a pair of these smart glasses, and she saw for the very first time. I was like, it's Geordi. They made a Geordi LaForge from
That's
Star Trek: The
awesome.
Next Generation. Yeah.
That's great.
So now they're making blind people to see.
Yeah, it's
That's
always
just
interesting how there's
amazing.
like the contrast of like light and dark with that kind of tech. I mean, it's always going to be like that, I guess. There's going to be this stuff that's like now this disabled person can walk, and then there's this other thing of like now we can spy on you from the other side of the world.
Right, right.
I
Or
think
now,
that's
or we can clone you indiscriminately without your knowledge, but from like
You
one
signed
hair
a waiver.
follicle.
You didn't know that?
Right. Oh yeah, you went to go get your hair cut. Oh yeah. By the way, now we have all your DNA. Oh.
that's one of the most interesting aspects of like a cyberpunk story is not just the tech, because the tech is cool and can be flashy, but it's what the tech means. It can be so good and so bad at the same time, depending on its use and depending on what it means to the people in that world. So,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
It
absolutely.
it can get pretty scary. So with that, I think I'm going to lead into another song off the new album, the Black Album, called "Scary Love." And that was Scary Love by Rayne Reznor from the new album, The Black Apple. So we've been speaking with Rayne here about different things that inspire him and about what led to the creation of The Black Apple. So, Rayne, I gotta tell you, besides different things that inspire you physically, what kind of possessed you, should I say, to create the kind of music that you're creating now?
Well, like I said, I've really been focused on cyberpunk and the uh, more sci-fi oriented themes in my music, and I've always wanted to just do something a little darker. And while I feel like my music had some grit before, it never really captured an atmosphere of just spookiness. It never really had that sort of gothic thing to it that I've always wanted to really capture. And um, I think this album captures that because that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to do something different that I wasn't really able to do before. As as an artist should, I've been growing and learning, and at this point, at the point I was writing the album, I had learned enough to be able to capture what I was looking for, where previously maybe I hadn't. So I think it goes hand in hand with just being wanting to be wanting to just being inspired to do that based on the kind of music that I generally like, more the spooky dark stuff, and also being able to finally have some of the know-how to achieve the level of what I wanted to do with that album. So it goes hand in hand. You learn how to do what you want, and then I figured out what I wanted to do just based on what I hadn't done already. And that's what I want to do. I want to do things I haven't done already.
Yeah, and it definitely shows in the Black Apple. I mean, through and through, you get the definitely spookiness of it all. You still hear some of those retro vibes, but it's not quite synthwave. It definitely has a more of a house type sound, spookiness behind it. Perfect for releasing it right around now, right around Halloween, which is
Yep.
excellent. Now, so the thing I need to go on to next and really ask you about is what should fans gravitate towards you for? Like, what really grips them in? What do you think is the main draw to Rayne Reznor versus other artists?
If you have ADHD and don't know what to listen to me because I'm all over the place. um, no, but seriously, I always go for a sort of dark but heartfelt theme, no matter what it is, whether it's sci-fi, horror, fantasy, anything like that. Um, I really try and go for a dark and brooding but not over the top feeling in my tracks. So I really think that's where I personally shine. And I think that's what you should expect more of, something that is intense but in the right places.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I definitely have to agree because that comes through in the sound, especially just taking a listen to everything from Demons all the way through Shadowmaker. The last track, you get that it's that darkerness. No, the darkerness, is that a word? Darkerness.
No.
It is now.
No, I definitely get that as well. It's like
Yeah.
I feel like you do a really good job of like expressing yourself emotionally without making it cheesy, which I hear a
and
lot
it's-
in like synthwave and actually my own music. I also sometimes hear like, man, this just sounds forced, but yours, yeah, doesn't come across that way, which is nice.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, that's really what I try to do is just be real with it. And another thing that I think my listeners and fans should expect is a story, but not necessarily a story that I write, because most of my albums have some sort of story where the majority is unspoken, because I like to leave it up to your imagination. So expect an atmosphere and expect a theme, but more of a story, but one that you put together in your mind while you're listening. Because I don't want to tell you how to think. I want you to relate to it based on your own experience, your own ideas and imagination.
Yeah, man, that well said.
Tell me
Well
what to
said.
think, Rain.
Right, yeah, right.
Just tell me.
Sam, I think you should think about thinking. Do
Think
it.
about
It's so
robots. That's all I want you to think about.
Yeah. So so robots. So quickly, let's classify the icon that it has become, Rayne Reznor, with your overall look, your social media posts, all that. So what constitutes like the gear? Like obviously I'm in character. So this is my character that focuses on the type of music that I create. How about you? How does what you currently look like? How does that personify the music, and how did that come together for you?
personifies the music. I really want the music to mostly personify itself, rather than have me take the spotlight 100% of the time and be like, "This is my album, this is my music." I really want it to stand on its own, and like I said, I want someone's imagination to be captured, not necessarily say this is a Rayne Reznor album, but this is an album. It stands on its own. Um, it's not necessarily. I don't want them to think that it's just by me, so I'll listen to it. I want them to listen to the album and really experience and connect with it in that way. And my get up here is a way for me to disconnect myself from that. I like to be dramatic in some ways, and this is really a character for me. This is who I am when I'm on stage or representing my music on social media, on various platforms and things. What I really don't want is I don't want to cut
You
some
don't
of
want to
this
be a
out.
Yeah,
diva.
we can.
Yeah, I don't want to be a diva.
That's
Wow.
fine.
No,
You're so good.
honestly, no, I totally get it, dude. Because like
Yeah.
I actually am almost the opposite, in that like mine is like it's like I'm very much so on the forefront of my music, and like I have like a particular, I guess, almost image, and sometimes I get a little upset because people do kind of cling to that as opposed to like just listening to the music on its own. And people like to cling to characters as opposed to clinging to art on its own, which is
Yes,
kind of lame,
Yeah.
honestly. But like,
Yeah, I mean, it's the same reason why I wear this outfit whenever I perform. When I perform, the glasses are on. When I'm not in this mode, I'm just in regular clothes or whatever. It's a character, exactly.
yeah,
It's a
exactly.
character, and it helps you. It helps you disconnect away from your own ego and helps you focus on the music. And I put this on for the same exact reason that you put yours on. So
Yes,
make it
exactly.
feel free.
It's never just about me. Yes, I wrote something and I obviously want credit for it, and I love that people listen, and I make a little bit of money on the side. That's nice to me, but what I really want to do is express the art and more importantly, have the art stand on its own and express itself rather than me just represent it. Like, I don't want to be, oh, it's Rayne Reznor. It's a Rayne Reznor album. It's just the Rayne Reznor album. No, I want it to be its own story, its own atmosphere. So thank you,
So
Sam and Dan. Yes, that really sums up what I'm trying to say.
yeah, well said. Well said. All right, so I'm going to move on to my final question. All right, and that is, what's in store for the future? What are you working on currently?
goth shoes.
You really want to know? Well, right now I've got a couple things in the works. Right now I'm working on sort of like I think I've sent like a demo to a few different people, and they called it like a bass house thing. And I'm not familiar with the genre very much, but um, basically I'm working on an album. It's not titled yet or anything, but it is, think Vampire Party with lots of glitchy bass. Kind of a callback to Vendetta, but more of the atmosphere of the Black Apple. So it's going to be an album that's hot and heavy, and I want people to dance to it, and I want people to basically just have a really good Halloween party to it. and that's what I've got that I'm working on right now. Sam and I have got some things in the background that I'm sure you'll hear down the road a little bit. I can't say too much really, but and on top of that, I still produce for Volcari 64, so we've got some music that we're working on as well. So I've got my hand in a few different buckets there. So, but that album is the album without a working title. That's really my big thing that I'm focusing on right now, is getting some danceable music out there so everybody can have a nice Halloween vampire party.
Sounds pretty
I
cool.
want everybody to jump up and down with the fog machine and the lights and stuff.
That sounds fun.
Oh yeah. Sam, do you have anything in store?
Yeah, I got my album just released a little bit before yours, like 2 weeks ago, and then I have an acoustic album coming up sometime in 2022. I honestly am just gonna like wait until my current album's like the attention on it just kind of dies down a little bit, and then I'll start to release that. I think I'm gonna do the whole thing where you just release one single at a time. I don't know. And then, actually, funny enough, the acoustic album's done, but funny enough, I'm also working on an electronic album. But yeah, it's taken me a little while because I don't do much electronic music, so finding the right tones and not having it just all sound like, not like retro wave, like synthwave like yours, but like mine sounds 80s just bad. Like when people think like bad 80s music, I feel like that's what it sounds like, and I'm like, how do I not make it bad? It's just like I'm not as accustomed to electronic sounds and like synth sounds. So yeah.
You're hustling my demographic. Is that what it is? You're trying
That's
to
exactly what it is. No, it's just like I did my last album was like a sort of metal and like rock album. And then I had the acoustic one, and I had started to work on electronic songs and didn't really think about it, but I was like, that would be kind of a cool contrast to have it go from like metal to acoustic and then into robot world. So like just kind of like a little journey there.
Welcome, brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks. But yeah, I mean, honestly, the thing I'm most excited for, I really want to do more work with, like, between you and I, because I like just singing. Everything else is just too much work. I basically, like, all the work I do in the studio is just so I can get to sing. And it's
See,
like,
that's how I feel about singing, though.
That's how what?
Too much work for me. Singing's too much work for me, and I can't do it. So.
No, exactly. So just make songs and tell me to sing to them. Even if I don't like them, be like, you have to do it. And I'll be like, all right.
Yeah, we've got some stuff in store, and I'm sure everybody's going to hear about that at some point in the future.
Yeah, someday.
Wink, wink.
Yeah. All right. Well, good to hear. Yeah, because after the Black Apple, had kind of run its course, and the excitement is gone. We want to make sure that your fans are going to have something new to look forward to and to grasp onto and to continue to support yourself and your music. So this is really good news to hear that there's new stuff coming out as well on the tails of the Black Apple. Okay, well, that's all the questions I have. Is there anything else that you want to talk about or get out there to your fans?
Yes, I love all of you, and thank you for listening, because I don't know anyone else who would.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, that's the super cliche thing, but the music would be nothing without like the people that listen, because like, I mean, it's really fun to make music. It's really fun to make music alone, but to know that like other people enjoy things as much as you do is very special.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. It really is, and it's part of the reason I do it, is to, I can't share art if there's nobody to share it with, so it really is appreciated.
Yeah, it's all about those fans. Yeah, that's the reason why we do what we do. So, yeah, if the fans aren't there to support, then why? If there's no one out there to listen to the music, why bother creating it other than for your own ears? So, yes, absolutely. Thank you to all the fans out there. We really appreciate all your support.
Thank you. You make the world go round.
That's
our
right.
world.
All right, gentlemen. Well, then let's kick this off. Then, so what we'll do is we're gonna end out with playing the Shadow Maker, the last song on the Black Album, the new album by Rayne Reznor out.
The Blapple.
The Blopple. Yes, the new name for the album is the Blopple. Little inside joke there. Yes, the Black Apple by Rayne Reznor, out today, October 29th, 2021. And to get this, be sure to head on over to Rayne's Bandcamp page. It's raynereznor.bandcamp.com. Be sure to be sure to subscribe so that you get everything that he has coming out in the pipeline. Be sure to grab your copy of The Black Apple. So, without any further ado, this is Dan Eachus. I am the president of RetroSynth Records, Diskonekt and Synthetics, also one half of the band Neutron Dreams, and I've had the absolute pleasure to interview both Rayne Reznor and Samtar. And gentlemen, I thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having us on.
We thank you for your time, Dan. I wouldn't be here without you.
Thanks, man. The love is much appreciated.
Now go wash that LaCroix off you.